It's a go. U.S. President Trump confirmed that his summit with North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un would go ahead as originally planned on June 12 in Singapore.
We'll be meeting on June 12th in Singapore. It went very well. It's really a get-to-know-you kind of a situation. Mike has spent 2 days doing this. We've gotten to know their people very well, and we will. You people are going to have to travel because you'll be in Singapore on June 12th. And I think it'll be a process. It's not, I never said it goes in one meeting. I think it's going to be a process.
The June 12 meeting in Singapore, the first between heads of the technically still warring nations, is meant to begin the process of ending North Korea's nuclear program. And President Trump said he believes Kim is committed to that goal.
Do you believe Kim is committed to denuclearization? Yeah, I do think so. He'd like to see it happen. He wants to be careful. He wants to be, you know, he's not going to run and do things, but we had hundreds of new sanctions.
And as earlier, he said, the president said that it was likely that more than a single meeting would be necessary to bring about his goal of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula.
We have very significant sanctions on that, but we had hundreds. We're meeting with the chairman on June 12th, and I think it's probably going to be a very successful, ultimately a successful process. We'll see. Remember what I say. We will see what we will see. But I think it's going to be a process that we deserve to have. I mean, we really deserve. They want it. We think it's important. And I think we would be making a big mistake if we didn't have it. I think we're going to have a relationship, and it'll start on June 12th. We're meeting with the chairman on...
In the latest sign of hostility cooling down, President Trump said he had unilaterally put a hold on hundreds of new sanctions against the North.
But I think it's going to be. We had hundreds of new sanctions ready to go on. And he did not, the director did not ask, but I said I'm not going to put them on until such time as the talks break down. We have very significant sanctions on that, but we had hundreds, we have hundreds that are ready to go. But I said I'm not going to, but why would I do that when we're talking so nicely? So.
Kim Yong-chol, the most senior North Korean to visit the United States in 18 years, spent almost 90 minutes in the Oval Office. Afterwards, President Trump and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo walked the North's small delegation to their waiting cars, smiling and shaking hands in front of the media before the motorcade pulled away. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis says China's military buildup in the South China Sea and its deployment of high-end weapon systems in the disputed waterway is designed to intimidate and coerce its neighbors. He also blasted Chinese President Xi Jinping for reneging on a 2015 promise made at the White House that Beijing would not militarize the island features in the South China Sea.
China's militarization of artificial features in the South China Sea includes the deployment of anti-ship missiles, surface-to-air missiles, electronic jammers, and more recently, the landing of bomber aircraft at Woody Island. Despite China's claims to the contrary, the placement of these weapon systems is tied directly to military use for the purposes of intimidation and coercion. China's militarization of the Spratlys is also in direct contradiction to President Xi's 2015 public assurances in the White House Rose Garden that they would not do this.
The South China Sea islands are disputed by several nations, including the Philippines and Vietnam. About $5 trillion in shipborne trade passes through the South China Sea every year. The Pentagon has long complained that China is building up its military presence in the region and constructing artificial islands that could be used as strategic operations bases. Spain's socialist chief Pedro Sanchez was sworn in as prime minister on Saturday, a day after ousting Mariano Rajoy in a historic no-confidence vote sparked by fury over corruption woes afflicting the conservative leader's party. Sanchez, a 46-year-old economist with no government experience, who has made a spectacular comeback to the front line of politics, took the oath of office before King Felipe VI in the Zarzuela Palace near Madrid. His ousting of EU-friendly Rajoy, a 63-year-old veteran politician who had been in power since 2011, comes at a time of political instability in Europe as Italy brings in a new Eurosceptic anti-establishment government. But even if he will head up a minority government with support of a hodgepodge of disparate parties like far-left Podemos and Catalan separatists, Sanchez has promised his main priority will be to respect Madrid's deficit reduction commitments to the European Union.
Así como mantener el secreto de las deliberaciones del Consejo de Ministros.
Italy's new anti-establishment government took power, ending months of deadlock that saw the Eurozone's third largest economy narrowly avoid snap elections after a last-gasp coalition deal. New Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte, 53, a law professor who has never held political office, was sworn in as Italy's new Prime Minister on Friday afternoon. He's the choice of the leaders of the Five Star and the League, and it is they who have the real power. They have run on an anti-immigrant platform espousing more welfare and tax cuts. Reaction to the new government was worry, with concerns still running high about Italy's massive debt mountain and the future of the EU and its single currency. The coalition plans to boost public spending and wants to renegotiate EU treaties and review the bloc's economic governance. Its proposals, which include a monthly basic income for Italy's poorest and a two-tier flat tax, have worried Brussels and the financial markets. Given Italy's massive 2.3 trillion euro or 2.7 billion or 2.7 trillion US dollar debt. Meanwhile, in Rome's medieval quarter of Trastevere, the people reacted to the announcement of a new Italian government following months of political deadlock. Take a look.
C'è un servizio di chiamata, però
dire che un brutto governo non mi permetterei mai, perché comunque devi iniziare a lavorare, però credo che il nostro popolo è il migliore del governo che abbiamo.
Non durerà tanto, ma comunque in questo momento proprio particolare del Paese, economicamente, era importante fare un governo. Mattarella ha avuto tanto da fare, tanto da convincere, da tante prove. Alla fine questa era l'unica maggioranza possibile, quindi che ben venga, insomma. Poi stiamo a vedere cosa riuscirà a fare, anche se le promesse, insomma.
Come chi? President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is sworn in for his second four-year term in office during a special parliament session broadcast live on state television. Take a look. Sisi, who received a 21-gun salute, took the oath during a packed house, also in front of members of his government, after winning 97% of valid votes in the March presidential election. He was the former intelligence chief and defense minister who overthrew Islamist Mohamed Morsi, Egypt's first freely elected president, after protests against Morsi rule in 2013. Now, and there you go. President LCC. LCC's second term will last until 2022.
Welcome to the garden. A world that recaptures the value of life, creating your moments, kindling your passion, worth reliving over and over. This is your world, your life, your garden.
Hi, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. I would like to wish you a happy 50th anniversary. Kung alam niyo lang po kung gaano kasaya na nakakatrabaho ko kayo at meron akong support niyo. Maraming salamat po. And I'm praying for more success and happiness sa inyong group. And thank you so much. Sana po ay makaselebrate ako with you. Have fun!
Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
According to the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, there's an 80% chance of near or above normal tropical cyclone activity during this year's hurricane season. 3 to 6 tropical cyclones are predicted for Hawaii and the Central Pacific. This number includes tropical depressions, named storms, and hurricanes. A near normal season typically has only 3 to 5 cyclones. According to Dr. Gary Bell of NOAA's Climate Prediction Center, it is possible for the Pacific to experience El Niño during the hurricane season, while ocean temperatures in the main hurricane formation region are expected to remain above average. El Niño decreases the vertical wind shear over the Central Pacific, which favors more and stronger tropical cyclones. El Niño also favors more westward tracking storms from the eastern into the Central Pacific. Chris Brenchley, director of NOAA's Central Pacific Hurricane Center, stated that all residents are strongly advised to make preparations now by having and practicing an emergency plan and by storing 14 days of emergency supplies on hand that will be needed if a hurricane strikes. For more information on hurricane preparedness, visit FEMA's ready.gov. The Pacific hurricane season begins June 1st and runs through November 30th. Reporting from the Big Island of Hawaii, this is Misty Inocencio for Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
Less than 1 year ago, this Florida Keys neighborhood was flattened by Hurricane Irma. Out of nearly 3,000 severely damaged homes, only a few families were able to rebuild.
My wife had just inherited the house, a mobile home house from her mother right here. This is completely gone. The next door neighbor's gone. On this block, there are only 3 habitable houses left. All the others were blown down completely.
Rebuilding has proven too expensive for most people here. Affordable hurricane-proof housing projects are very much in demand.
People can't afford to live here, and the economy is at stake. It's the servers in the restaurants, the managers, the entire tourism economy, which drives people here.
Florida's highly populated shores are among the most vulnerable in the country. Rising sea levels, floods, and storm surges represent a growing threat to the millions of homes built along the coastline.
So the projections are that there will be increased frequency and intensity of major storms in the future due to climate change. This season, there's already a projection of 10 to 16 storms, hurricanes, and probably 1 to 4 major storms.
Haunting predictions, which place growing pressure on those working on the ground.
We are more vulnerable now. We have people that are living in RVs and travel trailers waiting for their homes to be repaired. We still have roof damage from Irma. So as we go into the 2018 hurricane season, we take that very serious, and we will respond and react much quicker and in a much larger scale than perhaps we normally would have done.
It's been 1 year since the Trump administration announced its 2020 withdrawal from the Paris Agreement on climate change mitigation. A move that so far has raised more questions than offered solutions for the many Floridians living on the coasts. Less than 1 year ago, this Florida Keys neighborhood was flattened by Hurricane Irma. Out of nearly 3,000 severely damaged homes, only a few families were able to rebuild.
My wife had just inherited the house, a mobile home house from her mother right here. This is completely gone. The next door neighbor's gone. On this block.
Residents of Ellicott City trickled back to town after flood waters forced them out. Damaged houses, fallen trees, emergency and repair vehicles, and traces of where the water made its path were what welcomed the people of this historic Maryland town. Resident Casey Jones described the experience.
Yesterday it started about 4 o'clock here on Main Street in Ellicott City, and it just flowed. It was like a great big river. It was running like it was rapids, like you could went canoeing down Main Street, and it just wouldn't stop. It just kept coming and coming. I mean, ours just ran, got to the second floor. They came through and they did evacuate a lot of us, and we got out. But my nephew was caught at 8130 Main Street on the second floor and had to be rafted out when the grass got to it. And it's just heartbreaking to have this happen again a year and 10 months later from the last one.
This flood came less than 2 years after another flood, dubbed as the 1,000-year flood, carved its path through the city in July 2016. The recovery process was made a little bit easier with organizations like the Iglesia Ni Cristo or Church of Christ donating goods that would immediately benefit the community.
Today, 2nd of June, at around 12 in the noon, an establishment near Sidney Women's University was set on fire. Saturday, around 12 noon, people got alarmed by the fire truck siren along the Sukmyung Women's University Road in Seoul. An establishment nearby a coffee shop was set on fire. There was reportedly no injured. The authorities already made an investigation, but the cause of the fire's outbreak has not yet publicly announced. The fire outbreak lasted for almost an hour.
I am Hanani Sabado, EBC correspondent from South Korea, and I am 1 with 25.
Eagle News Teams are fair.
Sa impeachment complaint laban kay Supreme Court Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, ang ilang maestra...
Ang rekomendasyon na makasuhan ang mga sangkot kasama na ang mga opisyal ng customs.
Hardworking.
Papaunlad ng isang bata na magiging isang future youth leaders.
Dedicated.
Sa nasawi ay dito natagpuan yung bangkay.
Ito yung kanilang paraan ng pag-aalaga ng mga may sakit na leprosy noong unang panahon.
Committed to public service.
Ang chairmanship ng ASEAN sa bansang Singapore.
Marami yung mga biktima ng mga nawawala.
Ang ng Bureau of Customs na nasa merkado na yung mga pinaging produkto.
Sa kapila ng mga kilos protesta na nanatiling
dahil sa mabilis na pagresponde ng mga pamatay-sunog, ang apoy mabilis na
nakakaroon ng equal opportunity ang ibang mga kababaihan.
Kayahan ng mga kabataan at ipinakita sa pamagitan ng kanilang mga likha.
Nanatiling kulang pa rin ang tubig para sa irigasyon, para sa pagtatanim ng ating mga kababayang magsasaka.
As we live in interesting times.
News, Linggo, alas 4 hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
In its aim to bring a wide selection of visual arts to Japan, an international art exhibition, now on its 4th year, brought together various global artists to the lively entertainment district of Tokyo as they open a 2-day exhibition in the heart of the city. The 4th Tokyo International Art Fair 2018 featured 84 artists of various nationalities in their 2-day exhibition at Belsal Roppongi in Minato Roppongi in Tokyo that kicked off on May 25th and 26th.
Today, artists from all over the world are gathered here at Roppongi, where they attended the Tokyo International Art Fair. So today we have interviewed one Filipino artist who participated in the event. One of the participants here for the Tokyo International Art Fair is Erwin Viado, and he is a Filipino. Please tell us about yourself first. So I'm based in Dubai. I've been working in Dubai for 6 years now. Actually, my work in Dubai is in radio. Actually, I don't have any formal education when it comes to art. I was a registered nurse way back in the Philippines. And I just learned through, observation, YouTube. And I think I started 4 years ago with World Art Dubai, and I was surprised with the feedback. I got featured from magazines and newspapers, so that's the time I think I had to try it. And then 2 years ago I did with Ayala Museum and Oxford as well. The thing in Philippines right now, I think art scene is really booming right now. However, it's more of like, your parents are more serious in life. Let's say, instead of doing fine arts, doing a doctor or architecture degree. But anyways, the thing it's more of like how you apply those experiences, and then you have to work hard for it as well.
Other artists from Asia came from India, like Sandeep Bandari, who is an unconventional abstract expressionist landscape artist. Despite no formal training in arts, he's able to create landscapes with fascinating expressions of thoughts, ideas, memories, and illusions from his travels. While he only started painting 2 years ago, his artworks have already been displayed in various countries like London and New York, aside from India. Other abstract artists are from Russia and New York.
One reason I came here to Japan to participate in International Tokyo Art Fair, because I feel there is a lot in common between our cultures, Asian culture and Russian culture. Especially that this year is the year of Japan in Russia, the year of Russia in Japan. I feel that there is a lot in common between our nations, like strong character, deeper cultural traditions, and imagination. Trying to see the world through the eyes of a modern woman living everyday life with her family and thinking about the world, culture, religion, other people. I normally paint subconsciously, so most of the time I don't know which topic I would choose. As I start, the idea comes to me.
So I heard this exhibition from my teacher, and he's a very well-known teacher in New York. The title of this exhibition is Moments. It takes one moment to fall in love with something, but it takes one life to explain why.
Very interesting artworks that we have seen here in the exhibit is the works from Bharat Thakur. So if you look at his works, it looks very negative. So we are very curious about his ideas, what inspired him to create such interesting paintings.
Inspiration is my life itself, because I lived in the mountains from the age of 4 to 20 years. I lived with my teacher. I have no schooling. Later I did my PhD on anatomy and physiology, so you can see the anatomy all around the world. And this is dark side of life. Like if you take this root, you have to put your efforts to make it lit. Otherwise it remains dark. So dark is the 96% of the galaxy.
Aside from paintings, we have also seen interesting fashion accessories made from recycled computer parts on display.
So everything is made from recycled electronic devices I collect, like computers, mobile phones, cameras, and such, and hard cut and returned into jewelry.
With so many aspiring exhibitors this year, organizers had a hard time closing the applications.
How was this year? Did you get a lot of applicants?
Yeah. We had even to close, because there was no more space for other people.
Could you tell us, please, the main objective of this international art fair?
Well, the main objective of this international art fair is basically for us to bring to Japan a big selection of international artists from all around the world. We have a selection of like 120 artists from different foreign countries. And the main thing is also to promote the artists, help them expand their work they don't know, and to sell their works in a market like Tokyo. It's very interesting, and we don't charge promotion or nothing, so we try to be like a platform for the artists to get seen and received.
Local and foreign visitors to the exhibit are amazed with both the artists and their works as they see the great passion they've put into their masterpieces.
The general people who came here to present their art, it's actually quite astonishing how much heart they put into it. And it's just quite astonishing to see them tell their stories and what influences their art and how excited they are to show the people what they can do.
Reporting live here at the Tokyo International Art Fair in Roppongi, Tokyo, Japan. This is Tara Nalpili Lu for Eagle News International, and I am 1 with 25.